All right, what's going on, Giants fans? First things first, I'm bored. I'm bored. The Giants played on Thursday night versus the Eagles, and they put us on Monday night versus the Bucks. I got nothing to break down, nothing to watch. Did a little NFL stuff to get some stuff done for later in the week with like Jedrick Wills and Becton, but I'm bored. So I'm doing a mid-season mock draft. So this is assuming the Giants would have the second overall pick, which they have at the time of me recording this, which is Monday before the game. But so gonna go through it. Six picks. You have the first round, second round, third round, fourth round. No fifth because of Leonard Williams, and then 2-6 because of our pick, and then Marcus Golden, and then no seventh because of Isaac Yiadom. Few disclaimers. I used the Draft Network simulator. Please don't comment that so and so won't be there. Now that I said that, you probably will, and I'll actually find it funny. But don't be serious when you say so and so won't be there, because I heard that all last year using their simulator, and guys ended up being there. I'm assuming no free agents are signed. Free agents will be signed, but I'm not assuming anything. So I'm not assuming the Giants go out and get a wide receiver or so-and-so. And I don't do trades in mock drafts. Last year, everyone told me, oh, they're going to trade down. They're going to trade down. Or they're going to use their late-round picks to trade up. They had 10 picks, didn't trade a single one of them. Those are made-up scenarios to me. Rounds 5 through 7, besides quarterback, I will always go best player available. Every single time, I will take the best player available. I will not care about your position unless you play quarterback. Unless you play quarterback, I am going best player available. I think taking quarterbacks in the late rounds is kind of a waste. You can show me the few outliers, like the Brady's, Dax, and stuff. But for the most part, the best QBs are drafted in the first round. So yeah, I think I just hit everything on there that I wanted to hit. Let's get into it though. So like I said, I went back and forth. I really wanted to go Sewell out of Oregon. I really did. And I really kind of think this defense is a legit pass rusher away. So that kind of made me want to go Gregory Rousseau out of Miami at the second overall pick. But I'm going wide receiver Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase out of LSU. He's 6'1", 208 pounds. The wide receiver of the year in 2019. He had 84 catches, 1,780 yards, and 20 touchdowns. 19.6 yards per catch on 84 catches. That is nuts. That is just flat out unreal. And when watching Burrow last year, who's been really good, he would just throw up these crazy passes, and Jamar Chase would pull them down. I mean, he goes up and he snags it. He is a ball snatcher out of the air. He's a great route runner. He runs he just is one of those guys that you just know he does everything. I think he's the best overall player in this draft, including Trevor Lawrence. I really do. I think, obviously QB is much more impactful than wide receiver, but I think just best player, I'm going Jamar Chase. And you look at 2019 and that stacked wide receiver class, I'm taking Jamar Chase over every single one of them. I really am. I believe in this kid. Can you imagine to put up that production with other first-round wide receivers next to him? I get that they have, a awesome quarterback in Joe Burrow, but they also had a pretty good run game too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going, and it's not like they're playing, from behind for the most part. So I think Jamar Chase is the best overall player in this draft. And the Giants desperately need a wide receiver. I know they have other needs, but they desperately need a true blue number one wide receiver, and that's who Jamar Chase will be. Jamar Chase will be a flat-out number one wide receiver for whoever he gets drafted by for the next 10 years. And I want that. The Giants have had some kind of luck getting wide receivers out of LSU, and it just makes sense team-wise. Like I said, we're not assuming any free agent additions. So you kind of have to assume that Thomas and Parrott could be that tackle group. We're thinking Tate is probably gone. It allows Slayton to be just a number two. It moves them from shading coverage over. It removes them from playing off coverage. So, so it opens up things for the offense. Hell, with Slayton on Chase on the outside, you kind of have to play a little more too high safety stuff, and that opens up the run game. I just think Jamar Chase opens up whatever this offense wants to do. No matter who your quarterback is, Jamar Chase opens things up, and hopefully it's with a different offensive coordinator, not named Jason Garrett. So I'm going Jamar Chase first overall, or second overall, first round pick for the Giants. Now, with the 34th overall pick, this one I struggled with because I'm scared of drafting this position. I'm scared of drafting corners. My co-host Justin said, "Hey, Like, I don't think the Giants should ever draft a corner again. Just get all the best ones in free agency, like we have with James Bradbury, Janoris Jenkins, DRC. Like, we've had good luck with corners in free agency. We haven't been able to draft them. It's been putrid. Eli Apple, DeAndre Baker, even like none of the late rounders have even hit, So, obviously, that's not how you run a football team, but nonetheless, I like this guy out of South Carolina, 6'1", 205 pounds, Joe Horn's son. Remember that, Joe Horn? Joe Horn's son, out of South Carolina, J.C. Horn, cornerback. He's a press man corner. Honestly, he kind of reminds you a little bit of DeAndre Baker. I think DeAndre Baker was probably a better prospect, minus all the crime part. But J.C. Horn, he plays like this physical bump man coverage. He can contest the ball like no other. He swats the ball out. Like, he plays tight coverage. He's good against bigger receivers, you know what I'm saying? And with Bradbury, you can afford to pit J.C. Horn as that cornerback too. Like, and that's what we need. Like, that's another big need for this team is cornerback too. Who's going to be there? We don't even know if Logan Ryan is going to be brought back. Hopefully Holmes can, develop into like that true blue slot corner, nickel corner. But I think Horn would be a great addition. And with those other guys on the team, with all the other strengths on the defense, you kind of can allow Horn to be himself and not expect him, to be guarding the best wide receivers or having, to play coverages that he's not good at. Patrick Graham will play him to his strengths. And that really is with Patrick Graham. I hope Patrick Graham is part of this team next year. It really changes the way you draft. Because, like, we could go get this guy on defense, and we know how we can play him. That's how we'll play him. So don't put him up against Hollywood Brown and man coverage. He'll get burnt like that. But overall, I think J.C. Horn would really be a good second-round pick, and it's a need. He had a great game against Seth Williams from Auburn, and I liked Seth Williams like in the first few games, and then I watched him against J.C. Horn, and it was the game that turned me on the Horn and kind of turned me off of Williams. It was like he had 6 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, was just swatting the ball like crazy, and Seth Williams is known as like one of the best 50-50 guys in college football. So I like that about him. I think it just fits well with what the Giants defense is right now. And you put him with Jerome Henderson as a DB coach, who looks to be a good one. And I think you can see good things there. So I went J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Third round, 66 overall pick. I love this guy. I fell in love with this guy watching him over the summer. By the way, that's another disclaimer. I haven't done a ton of homework on draft. So there's some guys out there that I just don't know that I could have drafted over there. Kind of the way I attacked this was like I did the draft simulator, knew some names, but it's like, okay, I don't really know the names at the top right here, and I went and did homework on them. It's like, okay, I'll pick this guy out of them. But wasn't crazy. Like literally watching one game of these guys and then watching their highlight tape. So opinions can change. But this guy, my opinion will not change. This guy I fell in love with in the summer. Out of UNC, off-ball linebacker, 6'2", 225 pounds. UNC, Chaz Surratt. This guy I'm in full bloom love with. This is a guy I would celebrate. These mock drafts will probably change. I'm expecting Chaz Surratt to try and get onto every single mock draft I do in the offseason because I think this guy has special abilities. And honestly, I think he doesn't have like a first-round grade on him, but I could see a team seeing him and be like, I don't care what everybody else said. Like, this guy fits perfectly. He's a former quarterback, like a former college quarterback for UNC. He actually almost went to Duke and ended up playing with Daniel Jones. He didn't, but he played quarterback, switched to linebacker for his past season in 2019. So 2019 was his first time playing linebacker. In 13 games, he had 115 tackles. 115 tackles in 13 games in his first year at linebacker. 15 tackles for a loss, 6.5 sacks, and 1 interception. He's a do-it-all type of guy. In 2020, the production is not as good. In 6 games, he had 42 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and interception. They're using him in some different ways. They're trying to use him as more of a pass rusher on the outside. I think his best spot in the NFL will be on the inside in a 3-4 defense, and perfectly next to a guy like Blake Martinez. You put him next to a guy like Blake Martinez, he is fast. He has speed, instincts, and aggressiveness. That is what I look for, especially for will linebackers in a 3-4. Go, 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 go. Play with your instincts. Don't overthink things. Play with your instincts. And that's what Chaz Surratt does. And it should only get better the more he plays the freaking linebacker position instead of quarterback. He flows against the run game. He has real pass rush moves. I mean, you see that in the sack numbers. He makes plays. He's a hard hitter. and he's good in coverage. Like, he knows how to feel zone coverage and flow with stuff, and he doesn't just sit there chopping his feet and letting guys run past him. He knows how to pick stuff up in zone. They don't play him in a ton of man, but I'm sure he'd be fine in that. I love this guy. I really do think this guy is going to be a Pro Bowl player. And you put him next to Blake Martinez, man, and I think that would be the perfect fit for him. This is the perfect player for Patrick Graham. Graham likes to use that number 2 inside linebacker, play him on the outside, play him, a little out wide, do different things, play some deeper coverage. I feel like Chad Surratt would be the perfect player for that. I really would. I would be fine taking this guy at 34. Things will change, draft boards change, but I really would be fine taking this guy at 34. I think he's the perfect player for Patrick Graham's defense. Next, with the 103rd overall pick in the 4th round, defensive end / edge out of Pittsburgh, Patrick Jones II. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. This is somebody I just learned about today. He is, like I say, 6'5", 260 pounds. And 2020, in 7 games, he has 27 tackles, 7 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss. Last year, in 11 games, he had 41 tackles, 8.5 sacks, and 11.5 tackles for a loss. He could have came out last year, and there was like a mid-round grade on him by some people. But he came back, and I like this guy. I love guys that are just like constantly going at that edge position and doing different things, and that's what he does. He has the motor where he just goes on every play. Kind of reminds me out of Jabari Zuniga out of Florida, who a guy I liked a lot last year. He bends the corner really well, getting around the edge. And when you try and protect against that, he has a mean bull rush. I mean, he just puts booties back into the quarterback. So he does that. He needs to work on his hands. But you put him with Coach Chaos, and he has these long arms. I can't wait to see what his wingspan is at the combine. These long arms. You get Coach Chaos, Coach Sean Spencer working on his hands. I think you could see some nice stuff there. The only worry is he like a stand-up guy? Can he go in coverage? I don't know. But I think we should take a chance on a guy like that just because he's not, I don't know if he's going to be dropping in coverage. Let us get a true blue pass rusher. Like, the Giants do need that. That's really the biggest thing they're missing on the defense. Like, you could say cornerback too, but it's like, yeah, but we know how to hide that. We just don't have that true blue pass rusher, which screws us on 3rd downs. Now, I'm not saying a 4th round pick is going to be the guy that solves that, but I like this guy. I think he's got good value at this point. He could get a little bigger. He looks a little skinny in his legs, but he's 6'5", 260. So gain like 10 pounds. Learn how to use those hands a little better, and Patrick Jones could be a dude. All right, so we're past the 4th round, and like I said, I am all best player available from here. So please don't tell me like you have too much of this position. I am all about best player available after this point. We have no 5th round pick. So we're going to the 6th round with the 180th overall pick. I'm taking Tamorrion Terry, wide receiver, getting another wide receiver out of Florida State. We're actually going to get another wide receiver to pick after this, so people are going to light me up for that. Wide receiver out of Florida State, 6'4", 210 pounds. Now, usually in past years, I've been like, stay away from the bigger guys. It's don't fall in love with the height and the big plays. Don't fall in love with that. But I've changed my mind with the success of guys like DK Metcalf, with the success of Chase Claypool in Pittsburgh. I'm back on the train with those guys. If he has a good combine, he'll probably shoot up the boards. Give these guys chances. And honestly, with the way Jones places the ball, he could use a big guy like this. In 2020, now he's hurt. He's going to miss a couple weeks. He's having like some surgery. In 5 games, he's had 21 catches, 275 yards, and 1 touchdown, 13.1 yards per catch. Not the flashiest numbers, but definitely very solid numbers. And honestly, Florida State's been a mess. He's been over 30% of their passing game. So there. But in 2019, in 13 games, he had 60 catches. So at a less, at about the same, a similar rate, 1,188 yards. So 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. 19.8 yards per catch on 60 catches. That's unreal. This guy's big. He goes up and gets the ball. I think in 2019 he averaged 58 yards per touchdown. And he gets yak. Like, he's not just a go up and get it guy. Like, he gets yak, which is crazy. So he can make guys miss. He's got some things to work on. He can be a little crisper. But that's what the NFL is about, getting better. That's what the end of the draft is about taking guys that have upside and letting them get better. So Tamorrion Terry at FSU, 6'4", 210. He has a good combine. He probably is a guy that shoots up draft Now they have him in the 6th round. With the Marcus Golden pick, the 204th overall pick in the draft, 6th round, last pick of the Giants at the moment. At the moment. They could make some trades. I took UNC Chaz. Now, I may be taking from UNC Daz. Wide receiver Daz Newsome. Wide receiver Daz Newsome. He's 5'11", 190 pounds. Listen, we need some depth at this wide receiver spot. Shepard has injury issues. We can't bank on him being healthy all the time. So, like I said, if this draft plays out, you got Jamar Chase, you got Slayton, you got Shepard in the slot, you got Terry off the bench. We need depth at that wide receiver spot. It allows you to do different things. I am double dipping. Like I said, best player available. Triple dipping. Best player available. Please remember that. Please remember that. Best player available. You take chances on talent in the late round picks, and you don't draft for need in the late rounds. Daz Newsome, wide receiver at LSU. He's a true blue slot receiver. He is a slot receiver. In 2019, he had 72 catches, 1,018 yards, and 10 touchdowns. The production has went down a little bit. I actually have some people who really pay attention to UNC football, and I was watching a little bit. They have really been shading their coverage to him. They realize that is who Sam Howell likes to go to. So this year in 6 games, he only has 18 catches, 209 yards, and a touchdown. But I look at that junior production. It's like he's not going to get this type of coverage that he's getting this year in the NFL. And to be honest, he really does remind me of Shepard, the way he runs his routes, the way he gets vertical. He just does. Now, I'm not saying he's as good as Sterling Shepard, but he does remind me of the way he plays as Sterling Shepard out of the slot. And we need depth at slot. We got to assume Golden Tate's not going to be here. So we need that depth at slot. And he's a good punt returner. He's a pretty good punt returner. He can make some big plays in the punt game, so we need a returner. He works the middle really well. He can work the sideline. He's just he's a guy I like. And if he's there, I would love to take a chance on these guys. And we talked about this past year where this wide receiver heavy class, we didn't take any wide receivers. Maybe whoever the GM is can kind of fix some of that and you get a few good guys. So also, like I said, I haven't looked at a ton of people. By the time draft comes around, I'll have looked over at 200 to 300 people. Right now, that list is like 30. So I haven't looked at a ton of people. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll probably do one as soon as the season ends. But I wanted to do a mid-season Giants mock draft. Appreciate it. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. We do a bunch of stuff. We do the podcast. I do my O-line breakdowns, the Daniel Jones breakdowns. So check it all out. Appreciate you guys. Let's go Big Blue.